Hello fellow sim racers. Today I'm caving into peer pressure and making a video featuring my sim racing cockpit and my video production setup. I'm always really surprised by how often people ask me to make a video about my sim racing setup, and even more so when you guys want to take a look behind the scenes at the production side of things. So stick around and I'll give you the tour. So here it is. I live in a pretty typical British 3-bed suburban house, and this is a pretty typical second bedroom. It's not a massive space, but there's plenty of room to cram in all of my gear. To the right of the room is the sim racing cockpit setup and my gaming PC, while on the left is the video production area. And that's probably about as organised as it gets. Please pay no attention to the rhubarb and custard decor, it came with the house. So I suppose we should take a look at the sim racing rig. This is a Level Racing F1GT cockpit, which some of you will be familiar with if you watched Captain Gamer Muscle build one on his stream last week. It's probably the piece of equipment that I'm least happy with in the setup at the moment. While it's pretty sturdy for the most part, it's not the most comfortable thing in the world, and the seat mounting is just terrible, so it does flex a bit while you're driving. But it does the job, for now at least. Next up is the wheel. I use a pretty boring middle-of-the-road Thrustmaster T300 with a slightly less boring Ferrari 599 Alcantara rim. Everybody knows what a T300 is and how it performs. I've had mine for a few years now and it's still going strong, though I will likely be replacing it with a direct drive wheel in the not too distant future. The rim itself is really very nice, solid, well finished, and the Alcantara is decent. And if you ignore the button box, it's of a quality that you would expect from much more expensive offerings. In fact, when I upgrade the wheel, I'll likely buy another button box to use with this rim. Moving on to the pedals, last year I ditched the T3PA Pro pedals that came with the T300 and upgraded to Fanatec Clubsport V3 pedals. These are by far the best piece of kit I own, and I can't speak of them highly enough. There's not too much more to say about them other than they're probably the only thing that I bought that's actually had an impact on my lap times. While we're looking at the pedals, I should point out the Logitech C920 webcam that I use for my pedal cam. It seems pretty decent, though the software is just awful. Next to the webcam is the LED panel light that I use to keep my feet warm when I'm driving. It's attached to the rig using a thing called a magic arm, which can be set to pretty much any position you like, and may be mankind's single biggest accomplishment. Next up is the shifter, which is a common as muck THAA by Thrustmaster. It does the job, but I suspect it'll get replaced by the Fanatec offering at some point, if only for the ease of changing between H-pattern and sequential modes. Now onto the least glamorous but probably most useful part of the rig, the button boxes. I use two, the first of which being a cheap no-name eBay purchase, and the other being the Elgato Stream Deck, but more on that in a moment. I use the main button box to control the electronic functions of the car, the traction control, ABS, fuel mixture, etc. And it's pretty handy to have these functions available while you drive. The Stream Deck, however, I use to control all of the non-racing stuff that crops up. It's a pretty new addition to the setup and I've not quite got it set up for every sim yet, but to give you a flavour for how I use it, I have a page of buttons set up for each sim that I use. In iRacing, I use it to control the black box and other on-screen apps. I've also got a page for controlling the replay functions. And that's how I use it in Assetto Corsa as well, meaning that I don't have to use a keyboard to control any of the replay cameras or to start and stop recordings. This is fast becoming my favourite piece of kit. I recently did a video on my triple screen setup, so I'm not going to dwell on them too much here. But for the sake of completeness, I'm running 3 Dell UltraSharp 27-inch monitors. They're 1440p and have great colour representation, but they're not really designed as a gaming monitor. They're attached to a GT Omega triple monitor stand, which just about does the job. I'd have rather had something a little bit more industrial, but I needed the ability to hinge in the side monitor to move past the rig. On top of the centre monitor you can see 2 sensors for the Oculus Rift. I've taken them off their stands and attached them to 3D printed clips that I designed for my old monitor, so they aren't quite a perfect fit here. The last part of the rig is the PC. It's an i7-8700K with an EVGA 1080 Ti, which it really needs to drive the 1440p triples. It's in a fractal design case, which I use for all of my builds, mainly because they have great sound deadening, and as far as PC cases go, I really appreciate the attention to detail in their construction. So that's the racing side of things done, but I know there are a lot of you that are interested in the equipment I use to produce my videos. I get a lot of comments asking about how I produce the audio for my videos, so here's a quick rundown of the signal chain. First up, the microphone I use for my voiceover work is a Shure SM7B, a mic that sees a lot of use in radio stations and recording studios, and is famous, well, famous for a microphone anyway, for being the vocal mic used to record Michael Jackson's Thriller. The mic runs into a golden age pre-73 preamp, which is pretty necessary because the mic outputs a fairly weak signal. Below the pre-73 is a golden age compressor, which I use to even out the volume of the voiceover. After the preamp and the compressor, the signal's fed into a Behringer X32, which is a mixing desk and audio interface for the PC. On the desk, I apply a second stage of compression to even out the levels a bit more, and use some gentle equalization to remove some of the rumbly low frequencies, as well as some of the build-up you can get in the mids that tends to make people sound a bit nasal. I also use the mixing desk to route audio from my mic to the gaming PC for when I'm recording live commentaries and, in future, for live streaming. An aspect of the videos that I don't spend a lot of time talking about is the music, which I produce myself. Convenience, I try to stick to using software synthesizers controlled by a Native Instruments Complete Control S61, and, when the mood takes me, with guitars played through a Kemper profiling amplifier. This does a great job of simulating a cranked up guitar amp without having to spend lots of time setting up mics and upsetting the neighbours. I know I'm going to get complaints from a few of the regulars if I don't include the guitars, so from left to right we have a Fender Jazzmaster, a Gibson Les Paul Les Plus model, a Les Paul Jr., my faithful and battered old Fender Strat, and last but not least a Fender Telecaster. Finally, for those of you that stuck around through all the guitar talk, here's some models of cars that mostly ran at Le Mans. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, then it would be great if you could hit the like button and subscribe to my channel. And if you think the video will be helpful for others, then please consider sharing it. As always, thank you for donating your precious free time by watching. It is very much appreciated. So all that's left to say is goodbye, thank you for watching, and enjoy the rest of your day.